we've had some big news and potentially some big changes on the way. So I thought it would be worth taking a few minutes to have a look at what we got in today's Warhammer Community article. Okay, so here we go. This article popped up on Warhammer Community about 5 p.m. GMT today, Monday the 2nd of June. As it says here, it's a 2-minute read. I'm sure I can waffle on about it for longer than that, but let's see. Can you believe it's been 18 months since we returned to the old world? No, not really, but I'll go along with that if that's what we're saying it is. Fine. 9 factions have returned to the fray with arcane journals, new miniatures, and many returning classics. And with the arrival of Cafe, there's a new and very old power standing firm against the vicissitudes of chaos. Let me know in the comments if I've got that right. We've got an awesome looking picture here. Beastmen versus Wood Elves. That is a great looking battle. More and more generals are fighting campaigns across the lands of men, and the tournament scene is thriving. I can vouch for that. I've been to maybe 15, 20 tournaments, something like that now, and it is definitely growing. I keep an eye on it all the time. There are events going on in the UK every single weekend, basically. At least something. Maybe you'd have to travel a long way, but if you wanted to go to an event, you could do pretty much every single weekend in the UK. So it is thriving. It is great to see, and long may it continue. So with this in mind, the design team has created a matched play guide, providing comprehensive information for anyone running or attending events for Warhammer The Old World. Amazing. And here it is. So we're definitely getting a book. Brilliant. I don't mind them doing that. I will happily throw my money at them to get hold of something like this. But let's have a bit of more of a read to see what it contains. So this guide will be as useful for people organising their first friendly events as it is for seasoned veterans of the scene. Okay? Providing cardinal rules for all participants, a guide to running and organising an event, advice on scoring, pairing and army composition, and suggested rules for placing terrain. Well, it's quite a bit to unpack in that one paragraph. So, yep, it's a guide aimed at all types of events, fine. They're providing cardinal rules for all participants. That to me sounds like stuff about sportsmanship and making sure people enjoy the game and not take things too seriously, which is important. A guide to running and organising an event, fine. Advice on scoring, pairing, and army composition. And I'm sure that is the bit that a lot of people are really interested to see. I do have a little bit of an insight into this. I don't think it is going to be the Throne of Skulls comp. I know when that was released, the pack for that came out early this year, I think. People saw the 500-point cap on characters and the cap on wizard levels and ran with it a little bit, in my opinion. I don't think that that is what we're going to see in this guide. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, but I've got it on pretty good authority that that was just created for the Throne of Skulls event itself. GW run them for their other game systems, and the focus on them is more about the hobby side and the sportsmanship side and less about the generalship side. So they wanted to tone back people's lists a bit, and they came up with some comp, and it was just done for that event with nothing else but that in mind, and it wasn't some kind of window into the future of what we'd see in any kind of official match play guide like we're nearly going to be looking at here. So yeah, just we'll wait and see, but I don't suspect it's going to be the Throne of Skulls comp. It's going to be something else. That's not to say that we won't get caps on characters, because it does talk about that right here. So We'll see what it is. I just don't think it's going to be the Throne of Skulls one. It also talks about suggested rules for placing terrain, which sound great. Hopefully, that doesn't mean that we end up with every event running the same half a dozen maps or whatever, because that wouldn't be fun. But some suggested rules on how you place terrain sounds great. And then on here, on the compositions, we've got 3 suggested compositions. So we've got open war, grand melee, and combined arms. I don't know. You could speculate all you want about what they are going to be. I imagine open war is pretty similar to what we've got now, though. Grand melee and combined arms, I'm not so sure. Grand melee could be something more focused on melee combat. I am just purely pulling that out from where the sun don't shine, though. So, yeah, don't read too much into that. Let's just wait and see. So 6 match play scenarios are designed to challenge players in different ways, while optional secondary objectives and secret objectives can mix things up even further. Great. That sounds brilliant. I've been to a few events already that have used objectives, and I can tell you now, they are good fun. It is still old world fantasy, call it what you like. It still plays the same way. It just adds a little bit more interest. And that alone can change your list writing so that you're not just running triple Chaos Dragon. If you've got unit strength 10 units required to capture objectives, and that can't be Chaos Lord on a dragon, I can tell you now, it starts to influence the way that people write their lists, and the game starts to look a bit more like Warhammer Fantasy that people talk about when they say that when they cry about not seeing infantry units enough and stuff like that. So yeah, it does make it go a little bit more that way. So I am all for seeing some objectives in this book. Okay, moving on then, and we have got the contents page. So let's have a quick run through this and see if we can glean anything else. So we're starting off with a couple of pages on Hail to the Victor, a couple more pages on Valor Before Dishonor. I do think that sounds like the sportsmanship thing then. A few pages on organize an event, fine. And then 3 pages on army composition, probably 1 each for open war and so on. Fine. A couple of pages on field of battle, that'll be the terrain, won't it? And then we've got a page each for all of these match play scenarios. Up on the field of glory, King of the Hill, drawn battle lines, close quarter, a chance encounter, and encirclement. Be interesting to see what they are like. Hopefully better than some of the ones that are in the book, because there's 1 or 2 of them. Meeting engagement mainly, to be honest. Diagonal deployment's great, but the whole rolling for each unit before the game starts is pretty rough. So hopefully none of them are like that, and they're all really usable and fun in an event. And then we've got 8 pages on secondary objectives. That's great. So a fundamental part of this is on those secondary objectives, which is great. That's music to my ears. I can't wait to see what they come up with. Like I say, I found them really fun in the events I've been to that have come up with their own. So getting to see what GW come up with is going to be brilliant. Then we've got some pages on doubles events with their own scenarios for doubles as well. That'll be good. Then we've got some pages on an alliance of warlords, which it does mention later on about teams. So I'm sure that's what that is. And then we've got a couple of pages at the end for additional rules and secret objectives. So even more objectives. What more can you want? Brilliant. So rounding out the article, we have got a couple more paragraphs saying there is a separate section on doubles events, including rules for composition, alliances, scenarios, and potential contradictions. Likewise, there's detailed guidance for running team events and escalation events in which players' armies grow as the tournament progresses. That sounds cool. I was part of a campaign at my local club which grew from 500 points to 1200, but that was like over 6 months. So seeing that kind of thing happen in an event, that'll be fun. I'll look forward to seeing if any pop up for that. And then the last paragraph says the Warhammer The Old World Match Play Guide is a one stop shop for all your competitive and match play needs in the world of legend. It's slated for pre orders fairly soon and will be available as a softcover book and EPUB. And it'll land alongside a new FAQ and errata document, which brings a few targeted changes to the rules of the game. We'll have more on that from the Rules Dragon soon. Wow, yeah, I really am looking forward to seeing what that is. There's been lots of rumours flying about lately about changes to buff up infantry and reduce the dominance of mounted lords. It'll be interesting to see if that is what this is. I suspect it could be. I don't know how substantial they'll be, but a few targeted changes, in my opinion, is all the game needs. It plays really well as it is. If we can have some sort of buff that fixes infantry a little bit and something that reduces kind of how impactful dragons are a little bit, I still want to see dragons on the table. I love seeing them on the table, but maybe don't really want to see a dragon solo somebody else's army while the rest of it stands back and watches anymore. I have seen that a few times. I might have even instigated a few games like that in the past, and they are not that rewarding on either side of the fence. So, less of that and more interesting games with a few little targeted changes could be great. So, I am all for this. Let's hope it comes really soon because I cannot wait. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will be back at some point soon with another Talking Old World video. Thank you.